It's being described as the most historic decision in water management since the Snowy Mountains scheme. Today, the much-anticipated Murray-Darling Basin Plan will finally be unveiled. The environment will be the big winner, with irrigators in parts of the basin expected to lose more than a third of their water allocations. Communities are already warning of massive job losses and say food prices will go up as a result. Environment reporter Sarah Clarke reports from Griffith in the Riverina, an area that's likely to cop the biggest cuts.
It's been years since irrigators in the Riverina have had this amount of water, and Rob Houghton is overjoyed and planting cotton for the first time.
It has been the best in, since the drought started in 2001.
But that joy may be short-lived. The Murray-Darling Basin Plan will today detail potential cuts of up to 37% for irrigators across the system.
There's not a balanced approach between environment, economic and social outcomes. It would be a disaster for this region.
The Murray Valley and the Murrumbidgee River are expected to cop the biggest cuts. Irrigation-dependent regions like Griffith say calculations so far indicate 7,000 jobs will go and $1 billion a year will be lost.
We can't afford it to be this bad. And as far as the wider public in Australia are concerned, it will affect everybody. Food prices have to go up because this is a direct reflection on the value of growing of product.
But scientists and environment groups say this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and if more water isn't returned to the system, then not only will the Murray-Darling Basin struggle to survive, but so too will the communities that depend on it. Water diversions and prolonged drought have hit the key wetlands hard. And while there are good flows now, graziers like Gary Hall, who lives in the Macquarie Marshes in the northern end of the basin, says balance is needed if the system is to survive under stress.
What it means there is possibly the increased resilience. That's what we're hoping. Like, we get a time like now and things can respond, but it's the dry times that the marsh has taken the biggest hit.
And it'll be very, very important, not just for the people who live in the Murray-Darling Basin, but also the whole of Australia's community.
The plan being released today is only a guide. Stakeholders have until next year to make their positions known, when the final water cuts will be released. Sarah Clarke, ABC News, Griffith in the Riverina.
And environment reporter Sarah Clarke joins me now from Griffith in the Murrumbidgee irrigation area. Sarah, what can we expect from the plan to be released this afternoon?
Nicole, we can expect a range of cuts to be unveiled. The northern end of the basin will probably lose less water. The southern end of the basin will lose more. And the figures you've just heard, they're talking about 27 to 37% of water entitlements being lost. The likes of the Murray River, the Murrumbidgee irrigation area will be the areas where they'll cop the biggest cuts, as you mentioned, and they'll be probably closer towards the 37% range.
And what does this mean for stakeholders? Are these the final figures?
Look, key stakeholders in the irrigation groups here in the Murrumbidgee region are suggesting this will translate to big job losses. They've suggested 7,000 in this area. Across the basin, there have been suggestions and modelling saying around 28,000 job losses and $2.7 billion lost in agricultural income. But of course, these aren't the final figures. These will be a range of figures that will be negotiated over the next 16 weeks. There'll be public meetings in basin communities whereby those stakeholders can make their positions known.
But Sarah, this has been a long time coming. When will the final plan take effect?
Yes, this is the first step in a three-stage process. Early next year will be the draft plan. At the end of next year will be the final plan. And the actual legislation doesn't come into effect until 2012 in some states, 2014 in others, and in Victoria, 2019. And the states have a key role in this to basically implement the water sharing plan. And if the past is anything to go by, it could be a very long time. So this is the beginning of a very long process.
Sarah Clarke in Griffith, thanks for joining us.